Guys, welcome back to the Lightspeed Social Agency YouTube. We are sitting down once again with Jacob Godar. You saw him last week, and I wanted to record the second video to lean into something that he was talking about in that video. So if you haven't watched that one yet, the link will be somewhere around my head. We were talking about bulking up your office staff. And what I wanted to lean into, I know everyone is talking about hiring right now. It is definitely, we've pivoted into an employee's market, and we have to adapt to that. And that means like selling your business to potential employees. And a lot of people don't like that. So we'll talk a little bit about that and a little bit about the importance of bulking up your office staff to be able to take care of the field staff. So I guess to like just get started here, what do you look for in someone to work on the office staff?
I look for someone that is wanting to learn and grow and wants a lot of opportunity, because I'm able to, a very crazy thing has happened to me. I have always tried to make a field person and to like move them up into the office. And I always end up inevitably, this is probably going to sound bad, but kind of crushing them with the weight of what is involved in the office. And so with that being said, like, I think that's something that I've learned from the aspect of the people that have really worked in the office have been people that wanted to rapidly move up, where I can show them all of what goes on. And I can tell them, it's like, hey, we can just keep loading this on and we can keep moving you up. So definitely you need to be determined and want and really be hungry for opportunity, because there's a lot of it. And that's the thing in the office. People like in the field just don't seem to understand. And it's not a knock. It's just, it's two different worlds.
Yeah.
Like the level of how fast it goes and how constant it is and how it's just never ending, so it's probably one of the biggest things. And I want to make sure, really, it's really important that they fit like the feel and the culture of what we have going, because we've made bad hires in every aspect of our business. And in the office, like, that's always that tight knit safe place of the business, like where it seems like we can get some really badass people together. And you don't want to screw that up with someone that's just completely off from what you're building in there already.
Yeah. So in the last video, you were talking about that a lot of guys focus really hard on getting the people who do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's get as many field people as we can. And sometimes I'll answer my cell phone, and that's our office staff.
Yeah.
And you were saying, you were kind of flipping that on its head and saying that you really focused on bulking up the office staff. Can you kind of walk us through why that's important?
I will. And so not focusing on bulking up the field staff, but more importantly, like, not like living and dying by, everybody thinks that every service, everything has to be perfect. And they focus so much on that. Then they're not focusing on the office. And then they're out spinning their wheels and looking at everything all the time in the field. But yeah, as that all grows, like, really focusing on bulking up the office, because those are the people that answer the phone. So the phone doesn't have to, oh, it's the end of the day, now I got to call back all my voicemails. Who was mad? Who had an issue? Who needs more work? I want people to feel heard as fast as possible. That's why we use the call service on top of our team, because even if someone can't necessarily give an answer, that calling a company and actually hearing someone immediately, no dialing service, no this or that, type 1 for the next person. You don't want to wait for it, like, it's a big deal. And being able to have that, I think, has been like one of the biggest things that's grown our company. Growing that allows us to facilitate any of those little problems that happen in the field. They're that barrier. They're like, okay, cool, I hear you. They've got someone to hear them immediately. And now we're going to go out and get that taken care of and fix that.
So we're bulking up that office staff so that when something inevitably goes wrong in the field, we have a fallback. We have processes in place that are going to take care of a customer and reclaim someone who maybe was going to go leave a negative review. Yeah. We're going to reel them back in. We're going to solve their problem. And if you don't have that bulked up office staff who is, not overworked to the point of exhaustion, because there's one of them when there should be 4. When you have that staff built up and taken care of, and kind of like Jacob was saying, they're like the safe core of the business, then they're going to be able to address those problems that are going to happen in the field. No one's perfect.
For sure. And that's That's so much better than what we mentioned, like having the voicemail building up and the owner calling all that stuff at the end of the day. Well, if they called you at 10 red hot, by 5 or 6, they could have already left you a bad review.
Yeah.
Versus the flip side of that, the other option there is you have an office that answers the call. They hear the person and they feel that there's an issue and they're there for them. And now they turn an angry client into someone that they know, hey, we're going to take care of this. Then you go out there and you fix the problem, and all of a sudden you have an amazing review with someone that's probably got a more powerful connection with you than anybody else, because there was a problem, we made it right. Contractors are known for causing problems and letting it hang, and that's where some of our best long-term clients have came from some of our biggest problems.
And that's a massive opportunity to build trust when something has gone wrong and you address it and make it right and push it up to 110%.
Yeah.
That buys loyalty for sure.
Yeah.
Walk us through what like at the kind of rote level, what your hiring process looks like. Like, how does someone, if I've never hired someone to work in the office or the field, like, just kind of walk me through what that looks like for bringing a new person in.
Well, so especially once you've got some people on your staff and somebody in the office, for me, that, starts off with a center obvious job application and a really that job application happening because of a well-written ad or marketing on what you're truly looking for. And, I think what I hate more than anything is the marketing for new hires that's so generic. Hey, I'm looking for office admin to do this, $15 an hour, done. Like no creative there, no culture built into it.
A list of qualifications that are like, must be a hard worker, all of that stuff.
No,
can type.
No, exactly. Can type this fast, whatever. No real feeling in it. So an ad with feeling of who we're actually looking for, because we want to try to probably draw somebody a little bit different than just your average thing. We want to try to dig the gold out of what's available. And then going from there, where my point was about having other people in the office, really don't just be Mr. Owner, do it all. Get your team involved, get someone else in the office, really check the feel of it. To me, an office interview is an extra big deal. I've already said how that's like the nucleus of the company, and I really care about keeping that warm, cozy, fun. I don't want anybody in the office to have to worry about what they say. Our offices really get along well. And what we need to do that is to double verify. We're out in the field, we might not do 2 interviews, but an office interview, it's definitely going to start out with an interview with somebody else from the office, and then a second follow-up interview with someone else from the office. And then we're going to really look at, we need to look at what are we looking to hire? And we really need to ask the right questions to try to determine, this position, is this in her wheelhouse? Does she have the right, or he, anybody in the office, but does the person have the right feel? Do they look like they fit the culture? And then is what we want out of a person, is that in the wheelhouse? Because one of the biggest things in the office, I've screwed up over and over, and that's why people in the office's positions will hire them. And how you mitigate this and you fix this even when you do screw up, because you're going to screw up hiring. You're not going to be right. You're going to screw up everything you do in a business, and that's how you get better. It's just keep screwing up, keep getting better. But what you do is you have to tell people, it's like, and I tell them this all the time, you have to be like water in this company. You have to be able to change and move, because so many times I've hired somebody or someone was already on staff and I pushed them in this box to do this job. And then I push someone else over here, this box, to do that job. And they both I'm like, why do I have to be on someone so much for them to do it? Well, this person I had over here doing calls, hates making calls. This person I had over here doing organization, hates organization. It's crazy when you flip-flop their job roles, and that person that hated doing the calls actually likes organization. And the person that's doing the organization, that hated organization, likes calls, and you put them in those roles. Wow, I don't even have to ask them to do organizational stuff, and she's now doing it, or they're doing it. And this person's making the calls. So you got to try to limit some of that up front because you only move people around so much. So that's why it's so important to make sure somebody's in the right wheelhouse. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're just leaning on them all the time, trying to get them to do something. Then you're eventually going to find out that, oh, the reason you don't like doing that, so you were looking for a job, you maybe thought that this was good for you, but that actual thing is not your strong suit.
Yeah.
So,
and then where have you guys been finding candidates, office and field? And if those are different places, what are the different places?
We found people from everywhere. Obviously, you know, we found people from Indeed. We found a lot of people from Facebook. We found a lot of people just from knowing our name and applying on our website.
Yeah.
And I think
let's stop on that third one real quick, because that's super important. If you are not getting employee referrals for new employees, something is wrong, right? If people don't like where they work enough to bring other people in, then there's a culture problem that you need to suss out, because it's going to continue losing you employees or at least not gaining you any.
When something that's interesting as and then being so focused on having something the way we want it and having such a high standard of accountability, it has made some of our guys much more squeamish about referring.
Yeah.
Because we've had some referrals that have they've came in and they've made the people feel really bad about referring them. Yeah, definitely referrals from in a company. I mean, we're even as far as like, I want to meet more landscapers, even if they work for other companies. It's not that I necessarily want to steal your person, but I'd like to know more of these people and communicate with them and say, hey, we're hiring. So if you know anybody, because what you said, you know, people that are in the field doing the thing know other people in the field doing the thing. So yeah, we've got people from a lot of ways, and we're going to probably start leaning away from Indeed some, because Indeed's just got so muddied up with, you just get people hitting apply, and then you pay for every time they do it.
Yeah. I will say, so we've started doing ads on Indeed, and I really appreciate that you're able to like swap people out. So if someone just applies and you look at their resume and you're like, why? What? And they didn't send anything to explain why they applied.
Yeah.
You can tell Indeed, like, no, this person wasn't qualified. Like, why'd you send them?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would recommend people look at is you can invite people to apply on Indeed. So it'll pull up people that it thinks are qualified based on like the keywords in your job description and everything. And you can look at, hey, this person has quite a bit of experience in landscaping. Like, you know, sometimes that's a plus. There are some drawbacks to that where like maybe they know to do it the wrong way or a different way that you're going to have to like educate out of them. But yeah, we've been working on ads on Indeed for a while now. And I think that like transitions into the kind of the last thing we need to talk about here, which is, I don't know if you've like turned on the news recently, but everybody's trying to hire and nobody can find employees. And this has already been a problem for years in the green industry. And I feel like the industry is like largely not learned a lot. There's a very, like we've kind of complained about Facebook groups and stuff in the past, but there is this very like business owner mindset of almost viewing employees as serfs, like that, you know, I'm going to work you as hard as I possibly can. And if you don't want to like spill blood in the name of my business, then you don't belong with our culture. And I've never gotten that impression from you. And meeting employees at Scooters, one strikes me as like, yeah, Jacob doesn't let me go home. Yeah. I'm here till 9 p.m. every night. So how do we start getting thinking about hiring as marketing our business, that we're trying to sell employees on working here? Like, what have you guys been doing?
Well, some of the things we've done is like just as simple as putting together an advancement kind of pamphlet. So people see, I come in as a field tech and here's my opportunity. And here's what the path of my opportunity looks like before I even start my job, before I even get a job offer. And to really talk about the buy-in. And then, you know, for us to talk about what we're building, like I've switched gears now that I've got like a goal to start really my new level of success in my business is going to make, it's going to be really based around making people make more money and hitting targets of what I want to see people make. And but showing people about the mission, it's like, hey, we started in 2014. By this year we were doing this year we did 2.5 million. If you believe and you want to be with someone that's growing, and that right there, I think that's one of the sexier things. Like, growth is appealing. Like, would you rather work for something that's been the same for 20 years and is potentially going backwards, or would you rather be somewhere where it's expanding? Because expansion means that there's new positions, there's new things going on, and it's always changing, so it's a little more radical and a little different for some people. But really, that's the mission I pitch, that we're growing this. And the whole reason we grow this, I always talk about an org chart. I wish I had my dry erase board behind me written on it. I was talking about an org chart, and I say the reason that we grow is to add boxes to the organization chart. And the boxes represent opportunity for the employees that fill those boxes and or move up in level of boxes.
Yeah.
And that's really what the conversation is about when we're talking about what's going on in our company from a standpoint of, in the interview, selling ourselves.
Yeah. One thing that I've been trying to do is like rewrite job descriptions with a marketer's eye, I see a lot of like passive aggressive job descriptions.
Yeah.
That are all like the things that went wrong with previous employees, that you're like, I have seen stuff that's like written to the point of, don't apply if you're going to call in sick 3 times a week. Like the stuff that's like, who hurt you? Like, yeah. It's like if your dating profile was like, guys with brown hair need not apply. Like, don't tell us all of the conflict that you've had with previous employees in your job description.
Yeah.
You're trying to convince someone that they want to work with you. If you went on a first date with someone and all they did was tell you about how terrible their ex was, you're probably going to decide that maybe they're not ready to be in a relationship again. And that's the vibe that you're going to put out to potential employees, is that like, what's going on over here? Like, they seem really angry.
Yeah. 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 You don't want to allude to anything like of the issues. No one, here's the real fact of the matter with anything in life. No one cares about your issues. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares how hard it is for you, how bad your luck was, how bad you got taken advantage of. Don't put it out there, especially from a hiring aspect, because it's not going to attract anybody to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anything, it's going to start throwing up red flags.
Yeah. Like, what's wrong with the person? Why is this always happening? Because a true accountable leader looks at the problems and they're like, well, if I own the company and there's major issues in the company, even if it sucks to admit, I need to look at where I didn't teach or give or set up these people correctly to do the things the right way. And that's ultimately all my fault.
Yep.
Because the guy that said the things that you just said, that the people that called in sick 3 times a week, he hired them. All right. That's ultimately his or her fault.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that gives people a lot to think about. Look at those job descriptions and see, like, try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's applying. If you read that, is that a place you want to work?
Yeah.
And to be honest, if your business is a place that you hate being, then guess how all your employees are going to feel. So that stuff does come from the top. And I think that that's something that's so powerful about Scooters, is that the energy from the top and in the office, I assume, goes out to the field. I don't know a lot of the field guys, but all of that attitude and culture permeates the business. And it's why you have employees referring good people to come work at your business, is because they care about it continuing to grow.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, Jacob, thanks so much for sharing all of this with us. If you are like, I need more nuggets of wisdom from Jacob, we will have the link to his YouTube channel in the description, but also the link to his business growth coaching service, GrowCom, down there, so that you can check that out as well. Jacob, thanks so much, man.
Thank you so much for having me on today, man. I appreciate it.
Of course.